Hi everyone, welcome to our second online fundraiser this afternoon. So thanks everyone for joining. And we have a really great lineup, a really amazing lineup of performers, writers, poets, musicians, and speakers as well who'll be joining us today. But before we launch into all these performances, I just wanted to give a little bit of background background detail as to why we're doing this event today. So first off, I'll just say I'm Ananya. I'll be hosting this today. Some of you might recognize me from the first fundraiser that we did on the same Instagram page, which was a whole month ago now, exactly today. A very long month of being stuck at home for everyone. And that fundraiser was for the survivors of the Delhi pogrom back in February, for the relief efforts that were going on to rehouse them. And I'm very happy to say that we've now raised a significant amount of money from that fundraiser, and we've been able to donate that to the relief efforts. So just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who donated to our previous fundraiser, and for the fundraiser today, which I'm going to talk about in a second. That is the same account. We're just doing it once again directly through our PayPal. So it's just, I'm going to keep on repeating this throughout, but it's just South Asia Solidarity Group at gmail.com, and all the funds raised will go directly to the fundraiser. But what we wanted to focus on for the fundraiser today is actually a different but equally grave and urgent cause. So today's fundraiser is for the relief operations being organised by the tireless activists at All India Central Council of Trade Unions, AICCTU, and those are for the thousands of migrant workers and daily wage labourers who've been left completely destitute by the recent lockdown imposed by the Modi government as COVID-19 has spread to India. So I'm going to kind of have much more qualified people talking about this in more detail in just a moment, but just to give a very brief overview. So obviously with the lockdown, all the transport has been halted across the country, and people are now having to walk home to their home states. So migrant workers who work in different states are having to walk these long interstate routes, often with little to no food or water, just to get back home, to be reunited with their families and to have some food and shelter. But there have been many tragic cases of people dying before they've been able to reach, or members of their families dying before they've been able to get home to them. And often these deaths are caused by starvation and not by coronavirus. So this is kind of a whole other effect of this pandemic, which a lot of people outside of India might not have considered. But this is the effect of Modi's lockdown without plan. So we're essentially fundraising for these efforts, which have been proved absolutely vital to these workers. A lot of them are completely reliant on these solidarity efforts now. They're completely without food, and they're relying on these volunteers for bringing them food. Primarily, they don't have any shelter. They resorted to sleeping by the riverbanks, and the government has been completely inadequate in housing them and in providing them with food packages. So it's highly important that these volunteers, that we can fundraise for these efforts, because it's directly going to feed a huge number of workers effectively. So that's why people are saying, like, donate to feed India, and that's the whole point here. So it's obviously a very urgent matter at the moment. And as I said already, we have an amazing lineup today, and I think it's very different to the lineup we had previously. And what's really amazing this time is that the really international scope of it. And I think hopefully from this we can kind of build more really exciting international solidarities on online platforms as this global lockdown continues, and we don't know quite how long it will continue for, and we're unable to actually see each other. Hopefully we will actually be able to connect and form online solidarities of resistance internationally, which I think is really uplifting for everyone. So I'm not going to keep waffling on forever, but I'm now going to just add in Kavita Krishnan, who is a Politburo member of the Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist, National Secretary of All India Progressive Women's Association, and is also, most importantly, very active, an activist and very actively involved in the relief efforts. So Kavita will be joining us all the way from Delhi, and I'll just add her in now. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm just fine. Yeah. So okay, good that you're doing this.
Thanks. Yeah. No, it's so great to have you here. So, yeah, I'll just let you talk a bit more about the details of what's happening on the ground.
Yeah. Shall I come in now? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to briefly, you laid it out really well. I think that what we have in India is an enormous humanitarian crisis of proportions that I think probably have not been seen in this century in this part of the world. And it's really, it's a humanitarian crisis with no end in sight, and it is partly caused by the lockdown. So the nature of the lockdown, which is a top-down lockdown that has happened without consulting laborers, workers, their groups, and so on, and was suddenly announced without, apparently we now know that it was announced without against the advice of experts who were suggesting other community-led methods to do this rather than a top-down lockdown of this kind. So it's a really terrible situation. But the worst impact has been on workers, migrant workers, yes, which you mentioned, but also even in rural India, workers who are agricultural laborers and so on, rural workers, rural health workers, all of them are extremely vulnerable for one reason or the other. And of course, you have sanitation workers, health workers, and so on, who are directly exposed to the virus and are having to work without any gear whatsoever. So I just wanted to briefly let you know about and let our listeners know about the work that the AICCTU is doing and in which a lot of us are helping and cooperating. So, the situation is this, that when the lockdown was suddenly announced, you had workers, millions of workers, simply stranded in cities. And you have to understand that in India, you have workers moving from villages to cities within the same state or across state borders inside the same country, as well as migrants from other countries such as Nepal and so on, who may also be stranded. And so these workers were suddenly caught unawares, and they are there only to work. And now suddenly there's no work, and they are stranded often with no shelter. So in many cases, they have simply been locked into their own workplaces, such as a factory where they work. They've just been, literally locked in from the outside, without wages, sometimes without food. So they are, they would be surviving on one meal every 2 days, and so on and so forth. And in other circumstances, there would be 10 or 12 people crammed into a little room, tiny little room. And they were desperate for help. So in the first few days after the lockdown was announced, this was March 24th onwards, immediately AICCTU and CPIML comrades were flooded with phone calls, literally day and night, from people sending photographs of themselves in distress, saying, we have nothing to eat, we are stuck in this room, we have no way even to protect ourselves or have any kind of physical distancing, that's a joke here, and so on. And so we began trying to build up a network in order to manage to provide some kind of help. And you have to remember that even as late as now, which is now, we are way past mid-April now, we're close to May now, and close to the end of the second lockdown phase in India. And yet still, as a recent survey of stranded migrant workers found that more than 90% of them have not had access to government rations. More than 86% of them have not got any wages during the lockdown period at all, and that they are often surviving with one meal a day or even less. And any help that they've got has been through non-government sources. Most of them. The government help has actually reached very, very few. And so, and then there's also the psychological impact of not being able to earn, of not being able to go home, of worrying about your people back home, and of being treated like criminals for the basic human urge to go home during a pandemic and be with your loved ones and take care of them. So this is a very, very crisis-ridden situation. About our work, I'll just say that we were well placed, the AICCTU is especially well placed to, a little better placed to offer help in this circumstance, because the CPIML has networks in both rural and urban India. So what you have is there are CPIML MLAs, members of Legislative Assembly, elected representatives in states like Bihar and Jharkhand, from which there are a very, very large number of migrant workers. And so they would contact their elected representatives, who could then pass the word on to the AICCTU helpline network. And because we have AICCTU comrades in urban centers like Mumbai or Bangalore and Kolkata and so on, they would be able to basically do their best to and take the help of any number of people, any number of organizations, and tap into a whole lot of public-minded sentiment and goodwill in order to be able to provide some kind of basic relief. Now it's gotten a little better. Our relief efforts have gotten a little more streamlined and a little better. We have our, it's become a little smoother. But you still have situations where workers who got food about 2 weeks back would be telling us, we are out of rations now, we don't have salt, we don't have vegetables, we don't have oil, we don't have fuel to cook, so do something. So, yeah, that's the situation.
Okay, thank you for that, Kavita. I think, yeah, it's just really important to kind of be able to hear it directly from what's happening, like from someone who's actually quite involved, because we're over here in the UK kind of trying to do what we can, but I think, yeah, it's good to know, like, if it's actually having an impact and the kind of day-to-day effects of it. So I'm going to bring in Janini now, who has performed for us at our last fundraiser, and who is going to be kicking off this evening.
A little bit about Kehat Kabir is that it's just an informal, voluntary getting together of a lot of us who are interested in music as well as in folk forms of music, alternative music. I am trained in classical forms, but so this is an effort for us to sort of go beyond classical music by a number of us, so that we're also getting an opportunity to discuss some of the writings and to also sort of teach each other and learn together as a group. So we do have a Kehat Kabir event that's happening tomorrow. So that's at 3 p.m. UK time. We'll probably share the details later. South Asia Solidarity Group's already been sharing these details. And I think I'll just start right away, because I know we're probably also running late, right?
It's all good.
This is a song that a lot of people would have heard, Man Lago Yaar Fakiri Mein. We're going to, in tomorrow's session, we're actually planning to discuss the many different versions of this song, the Sufi style, the Malwa style, how these variations came to sort of exist and what they mean, and to sort of, I'll be doing the Sufi version of it today. It's fine now, all good, no echo. Okay, great.
Yeah.
मन लागो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो यार फकीरी में, मन लागो यार फकीरी में। कबीरा रेग सिंदूर कबीरा रेग सिंदूर कबीरा रेग सिंदूर कुर्ता जर दिया न जाए कबीरा रेग सिंदूर नैनन प्रीतम रम रहा नैनन प्रीतम रम रहा दूजा कहाँ समाए नैनन प्रीतम रम रहा दूजा कहाँ समाए प्रीत जो लागी लागी प्रीत जो लागी भूल गई पीठ गई मन माही प्रीत जो लागी प्रीत जो लागी भूल गई पीठ गई मन माही रूम रूम पियो पियो कहे मुख की सिर धनाई मन लागो यार फकीरी में मन लागो यार फकीरी में बुरा भला सबको सुन लीजो बुरा भला सुन लीजो कर गुजरा गरीबी में बुरा भला सबको सुन लीजो कर गुजरा गरीबी में मन लागो यार फकीरी में मन लागो यार फकीरी में मेरा मुझ में कुछ नहीं नहीं मेरा मुझ में कुछ नहीं जो कुछ है सो तेरा तेरा तुझको सौंपते क्या लागे है मेरा मन लागो यार फकीरी में 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 And everyone, thanks for watching, and do please donate. We've all been helplessly watching and reading about the migrant crisis in India, and helplessness is really the feeling that we have, and we're often finding ourselves just donating or finding ways of expressing solidarity and reaching out to so many people who are working on the ground there. And I think similar to what Kavita said, most people, I mean, it's only been civil society largely that's doing a lot of work and at least acknowledging the issue. So please do donate. And South Asia Solidarity Group, thanks so much for organizing this. It's really wonderful that you're doing this, and I just jumped at the opportunity to be a part of this because this is just so important. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in and cooperating with us, and that was really great start to the evening. So thank you. our next person, who is Wangui, who is going to be joining us all the way from Abidjan. And I'm really hoping all this connection works out and everything. So I'm just going to try and add Wangui now. We're really excited to have her with us for the first time, all the way from Abidjan. So Wangui is a writer, feminist activist, critic, public intellectual, translator, editor, advocate, researcher, and campaigner for human and cultural rights. And she has extensive experience in translation, particularly of African literature, and in Africa, has worked in Africa, Europe, and the USA. And she's a founder of Sidensi Translations and Africa in Translation, AIT, and has served on several international literary and academic bodies and journals. And she's also the translator of award-winning authors between French, Italian, English, Kiswahili, and Gikuyu. So that's super impressive. So I'm really excited to hear what you have for us today.
Yes, I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very encouraged by this effort, solidarity efforts in relation to the migrants in India. And we're really excited to have an international collaboration, a global collaboration, and I hope that going forward that we can continue to work more closely together. I think COVID has made us all realize that we have to work together across the globe. And I'm particularly very concerned, and I'm sure you've seen in relation to Africa and the African diaspora, the issues going on in Asia and in the Middle East and in America and in Europe against Black people in China. You've seen the women and people being kicked out of their homes. So these issues around migrants are global, and we've got to work across with each other in solidarity. But we all know the issues, so I'm not going to say very much. I'm going to read 3 poems, and if I've got time, I'll read a 4th poem. The first poem I wrote is called Conscripted, and it comes from the experiences in 2013 in Italy when the people died in Lampedusa. You'll remember that occasion. That's what inspired this poem. And it's called Conscripted 2, and it's inspired by a book that was written in 1927 by Gabriel Haile Selassie Jesus, who wrote a book in Tigrinya called Conscript, and it was translated into English, and I was inspired by that story. We longed to travel to the promised land. They told us there was milk and honey there. We thought better to remain silent as we have milk and honey here, but we let our children go as they said their backs were too much to the wall and were breaking. We sadly said go, but come back. Things will change. Things always change. Come back. We will miss you. We love you. And off they went. I had never heard of Lampedusa. Now I hear that my son will not come back. He drowned in a boat fire. Lampedusa, Lampedusa, we long to travel to that cursed promised land to bring back our dead from Lampedusa. Are there mothers in Lampedusa? Do they hear our cry, their cry? We will bring back all our dead. Now no more Lampedusa here, no more Lampedusa there. We want our children home and safe. Thank you. The next poem that I'm going to read is from this book, which is called New Daughters of Africa, which is edited by Margaret Busby and published by Myriad Press. And I'm very honored to be one of the New Daughters of Africa in this second collection. She did one before 25 years ago. And I'm going to read a poem. First, I'm going to read a poem called Kitamu. Sweetness here is untranslatable, delicious, sugary, saccharine, bitter even, where it is never clear whether it is black, strong, decaf, or white. The heart melts, the mind molds, the coffee burns, the tongue lies, the mist hiss in the complicated kiss, as cup meets lip, and it is neither hot nor cold, and the blend does not tell from where it comes, along the fissures of the region, valleys, mountains, and crevices in Kilimanjaro, Kenya, India, China, Middle East, the Nile, blue or white, is always a question of the gaze, and the mind, and the heart, and the winds which buffet souls to cross those troubled waters home. Oh, the smell of home, brewed in a hotel sweet pot. Thank you. The next poem I'm going to read is called Nouvelle Dance on a Rainbow's Edge. The party's over, I know you naked now unmasked. The glitter and swagger and blood-lusted drunkenness falls with each step. Sometimes you twirl and whirl your powered lies around my innocence, making me believe that you love me, that what you do is for my good. Yet, from time to time, the mask falls, and I catch sight of the gnarled glimpse directed at me as you plunge and plunder, plunder and plunge. So we dance, hips gyrating, heat sweltering, round and round and round, young and old together, until the crack begins to show in the falter of your steps, staccato 2, 3. I twirl, you stop, and I dance, 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 and you dance, round and round and round and away from you, as the glitter beneath my feet flies all over the world. I could hold you and guide you in a modern dance, but why should I? Or find you a new partner who will stretch your step, but why should I? For now, just for now, this has to be our dance alone, refining each newfound step, discovering the mystery of our own beat, of wonder dance, of women and men together dance that lifts us to higher ground. I dance, 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 on and on and on. Dance on you may, or watch us in this moment of our dance alone. And the last poem that I'm going to read is called Looking Down from Mount Kenya. I'm from Kenya, and we have these historical moments where you wonder who is standing with you. Where do you hope to join my life? Flowing, not like the river, but as torrents and currents of the tide, buffeted by multitudinous waters of change, going back and forth, lapping up the high and low banks, dazzling the plains with luminous floodings, awash against the orange-red sky of our history. Where do you and I merge as minor or major tributaries to the great sea ocean of change? Or where do we become engulfed by other tides of the past, of victory and of shame? And what futures unforetold then and now? What do we become? Droplets of vapor carried under the translucent sky to descend on unsuspecting blossom of springtide freedom? As a dewdrop, inseparably defiant, or swallowed by the parched earth of our deserters, or a hailstone in the tropical storm. Here we stand to emerge in a world of numerous possibilities, drawing from history and awed by the great expanse of the earth, the sea, and the sky that are our future, and which hold promises of infinite possibilities. Salam sa kaskazini, yeah. Salam za mashariki. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. That was so beautiful, and it was so lovely to hear you sing at the end. I wish we'd had more of that. I think, I think it's just so great to be able to kind of hear poems from a completely different part of the world, because I think in our organisation we're always kind of looking to expand the reach of who we do and what we kind of include culturally in these kind of events. And it was just really great to have you here, and just I think so important to kind of be able to connect in this way in these kind of times. It's like so amazing that we're able to do this virtually.
Yes.
So yeah, we're just like, I think we're really touched that I can see like all the really positive comments of people coming through. I think everyone's really touched that you were able to make it here. So thank you.
Let's donate as much money as we can. We're having similar issues in Africa, where I live. There are locusts in East Africa. There's Ebola starting again in Congo. So I think we have to be each other's keepers. We have to know about each other. And we've come a long way together. We are members of the Commonwealth. And I come from Kenya, where there's a very large Asian community. I'm from London, where I've known 3 generations of your family. So I think we've got to keep these bonds going together. And let's donate to that call, which is on the website of South Asia Solidarity Group through PayPal. Thank you for having me.
But I'm now going to just bring in our next performer, who is Nadine Benjamin. So I'll bring in Nadine now.
How are you? This is just such a wonderful thing that you're doing right now. I just can feel that it's so amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, we really appreciate having you here. It's so great to be able to have, like, I don't know, like, obviously you're an opera singer, and that's, it's a completely different whole arena from what we normally have on here, but it's really, really great to have you. I'm really excited to hear what you've got for us. And can I just introduce you with a few words? Is that all right? So I've just got a little bio. So I'll just, because I know that you have a very impressive repertoire. So I'll just say a few things, but I've got, there's more information if anyone wants to know kind of more about any of the people that we've had performing today. They're all kind of up on our page on Instagram, right on this page, just a heads up. So if you want any more information. Nadine has performed extensively with Opera, Holland Park and Ilford Arts. She founded Everybody Can in 2015, which is to provide a platform to encourage others to believe in themselves and to support them in recognising whatever they envision can be achieved. Nadine also won the Fulham Opera Robert Presley Memorial Birdie Prize in 2015, and her debut solo CD, Love and Prayer, was released in 2018. There's lots more I could say about Nadine, but it's all there on our Instagram page, and I think I'd better just kick it off and let you hand over and let you start singing now. So,
I just
take it away.
wanted to say it's such an honour to be with you all. I see myself as safe at home. I'm on 12. I can't leave my house, or I'm not allowed to leave my house because I fall into the vulnerable category. And but it's really highlighted by thought process to those who are not safe at home, and who are without their families, without their friends, without somebody next to them holding their hands and letting them know that everything's going to be okay and walking them through. And I was thinking about what to sing today, and I was thinking I could sing a massive aria or whatever, but I was thinking the most common kind of song that I've known that goes throughout has gone throughout history as a song of freedom and a song of comfort and a song of empowerment is Summertime.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, and I just felt that would be the one thing to kind of share with everybody. But I just wanted to take a moment for everybody, just to whoever's here, just to gaze and to just see those people right now that could really do with our energy and with our spirit, and to just see you sharing a bit of your love, a bit of your heart that you would be giving to your loved ones, that you could share just a little bit with them too. And we're all connected, so whether we're next to someone or not, just know that energy, that spirit, that light, that love, that sense of health and love that you send to someone, they will receive it. They will receive it. So while I'm singing, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send that frequency the frequency of sound is the quickest frequency, and the most penetrating frequency is our voice, the way we speak to the world, the way we show up with the world, the love. Our words are so powerful. And and I just thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this, and thank you for standing by the side of the South Asia Solidarity Group. And I'll start. I'll just see if I can make it work. And I really pray that everybody rises up. I'm sending health and abundance and light and love out to every single person right now, and every single person that's standing alone and in fear and anxiety. I'm sending love and freedom and peace and light.
Thank you so much, Nadine. That was absolutely amazing. I think everyone listening was blown away by your voice, and you just started singing that. That was amazing. And yeah, I absolutely adore that song. It's like one of the songs I grew up with, and so it's, yeah, just really amazing to hear that. And I think something we all needed when we can't go outside in the sun, and just kind of something to really keep everyone going. And thank you for your beautiful words at the beginning as well. I think it's just, yeah, really nice to take some time to kind of think about how we can kind of spread love differently in these times. So thank you so much for joining us. It really means so much.
Oh, and if there's anything I can do another time to support, you have me. I'm there. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for plugging our fundraiser as well. Okay. Are you gonna keep watching?
Yes, I'll keep watching, and definitely, if you can support, please support. I am going to support. I'm going to pledge some money. Absolutely. So
amazing.
Please support if you can. All right. Mwah.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye. Yeah. Take care. Keep in touch. Bye now. So this is Kausikan, and I'll just add Kausikan now. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you too.
Okay, can I just say a few words to introduce you?
Cool. Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. Kausikan is a classically trained pianist from London. He's won many competitions already and completed a Master of Music with the Royal College of Music. And he's had recent engagements all over Europe, including recitals in Spain, France, Norway, and Germany, Edinburgh Fringe and the Royal Festival Hall, and concerto appearances in Hanover, Germany, and St John's Smith Square, London. So I'll let you take it away.
Cool. Right, I thought I'd start with a little Chopin waltz in A minor, which hopefully will, it's a kind of slow, sad piece which will get you into the mood. And then I'll follow it with another pretty much diametrically opposite of that, massive. So yeah, okay, right. I think need a breather after that. I'm going to play. How much time do I have left? I think I'm going to play you a little prelude by Sergei Rachmaninoff, who is actually influenced by Chopin, who I just played. I'm going to play you a prelude, which is a kind of short, obviously, you know what prelude is, info type piece, like introduction type thing. And then I'll play another piece after that, which is an Etude Tableau in G major by the same composer.
I know she does do it, but like prefer.
very much, and thank you so much for inviting me on to this. Yeah, I'm really going to be a part of it. And everyone donate via the PayPal link. So thanks so much, Nani.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing that. I think everyone really appreciated that mix. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I felt connected to everyone suggesting. So I hope I managed to fit in as many songs as I possibly could. My memory's not great, I guess. But hopefully people enjoyed it.
Yeah. No, I think it's insane that you just improvised it. I mean, I think that was great. And yeah, it's just, as I keep saying, it's just so great to be able to hear all this amazing music just from our homes. So I think, yeah, it was really great to have you. Final performer of the evening, who is the writer Nikesh Shukla. So please welcome him.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the lineup for this. It's such a wonderful thing, and really, really amazing bit of solidarity. So thank you so much for kind of thinking of me, especially because my work is so sort of comedy.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like, I mean, I've read like some of your work. I think it's really great and really like relevant to our times. And obviously, you're talking about the UK, which is kind of, I think we need to like really make those links with. I know you're very engaged with like racism in the UK and all of those kinds of things, experiences of BME people here. And yeah, also thanks for joining us, because I know your time is very tight and you've got your kids and stuff. But yeah, I'll just
may hear them in the background.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, so I'll just really quickly say a few words, because I know Nikesh editors the Good Immigrant collection, which has won many awards, and I believe is being developed for TV now. Yeah, and you're also he's also editor of the Good Journal and runs and founder of the Good Literary Agency. I like this kind of naming thing. I think it's really great what you're doing for writers of colour in the UK. I think we're all inspired by that. So yeah, I'll let you take it away.
I basically I just feel like it's really important to use the platform I have to kind of bring other people through. It's important. But yeah, I was thinking about what would kind of be relevant to read, kind of given what we're here to kind of raise money for, and who we're in solidarity with. So I'm going to read a couple of things. I'm going to read a short extract from my novel, The One Who Wrote Destiny, and then I'm going to read a non-fiction piece that I finished this week that kind of speaks to the sort of the time that we're in. So I'm going to read from the middle of the novel of The One Who Wrote Destiny. I guess what you need to know is it's like a multi-generational family drama, and we meet Rakesh, who's a stand-up comedian in Edinburgh, having just had a bereavement, and his dad has come up to see him perform with our son. And I'm going to read a little bit, and hopefully the bit that is relevant will kind of make you guys laugh. So the chapter is called "A Man's Actions Are More Important Than His Ancestry," which is an old opinion proverb. I watch my son take selfies with fans and sign his DVDs, and I feel proud that he is doing what he always meant to do. He reminds me of Sailesh. Sailesh loved the attention, but at the same time wanted to hide from it. It was too much for him. Rakesh walks towards me. As he does, people congratulate him on a brilliant show. "What did you think, Dad?" he asks. "A show about a donkey." "It's about Neha," Rakesh says. "I wanted her to live forever. It didn't have many jokes." I didn't mean to offer this criticism. I could hear people laughing all the way through, chuckling, big laughs here and there, but I didn't find any of it funny. It was all the truth. It was all about us. There is nothing funny about us. "I didn't expect you to laugh, Dad," Rakesh chuckles. "A show called Little Vijay about the time you abandoned your kids with a stranger in the middle of Mombasa. It doesn't exactly paint you as Father of the Year." "Stranger," I remind him. "That's your bar you're talking about. She's family, not a stranger." "You're very sentimental." "I know," Rakesh says. 2 more people approach him and they say they love the show, interrupting me. One says it made her cry. I want to talk to Rakesh about his sister. I haven't seen him since the funeral, and I want to tell him about the day she and he were born. It's just us now. We have to stick together. Should we go somewhere else, I say, interrupting their conversation. Sorry, Rakesh says to the people he's talking to. This is my dad. Your son's well funny, mate, one man says to me. His girlfriend nods. So funny. Thank you, I say. I told him everything he knows. And then they go on to another place. This show is different from the earlier one. This time the comedians who are drunk come up to do 5 minutes of material about the politics of the day. We're in a pub. The stage area has been dressed in a big black curtain. A man is talking about the Prime Minister and people are booing. There is chatter from the back of the pub. Rakesh is sitting next to me, shaking his right leg furiously. I put my hand on his knee to steady it. He must be nervous. He takes out his phone and looks at something on the screen and then around him. When his name is announced, he bounds onto the stage. His energy is that of someone who has just been electrocuted and has 5 minutes of intensity before falling over. He is shrill. He talks in a voice I have not heard before. Normally his voice is like mine, slow and mumbling. On stage he is shrill, loud, a fast talker brimming with nerves. His voice goes up and down from falsetto to loud and assertive, sometimes in the same word. He is someone I have not met before. Colonialism, he says. What's up with that? People laugh. I smirk. Colonialism was silly. Thanks for the railways. I always have to say thanks for the railways, it seems. 43% of this country said colonialism was a good thing. 40%. I don't understand it. As a lot of people who think that the systemic rape, pillage and resource mining of countries around the world, enslaving whole generations, forcing them to be Christian, and then when some countries fight back, giving them the illusion of democracy and dividing the people was a good thing, a positive thing. Well done, the Brits. Wasn't colonialism great? It was shit. I know it was shit. My dad knows it was shit. He grew up during the British Empire, did you know that? The British Empire, and he thought it was shit. And the 43% of you who thought colonialism was a good thing, if you'd been alive at the time, it wouldn't have been like Downton Abbey for you fuckers. No, you feudal serfs would have all been dead of scurvy and syphilis. How's that for white privilege? Everyone wants to go back to the good old days, no matter how terrible their place in society would have been, because at least they could have owned some colours. Am I right, ladies and gentlemen? Colonialism, what's up with that? Go back to where you came from then. The audience gasps. I look around me, angry. How dare they interrupt my son? Go back to where he came from. My bloody son is from Harrow. Rakesh freezes. He looks out into the crowd, a hand on his hip, and he sighs. He doesn't know what to say. The audience is waiting for his response. He has none. Whispers start. I stand up, trembling with the same combination of anger and fear as I did all those years ago when Nisha and I stormed the community hall doors. Who said that? I shout to the crowd. Yup, Rakesh says. I brought my dad. And he's going to beat up the dad of whoever said that, so good night, and always punch a Nazi and see you in the car park. I'm bringing my dad. The audience bursts into laughter. Some clap, some stand up, people pat me on the shoulder. My face slips from anger into laughter. Rakesh jumps off the stage. Let's go, he whispers. Why? I say. Because I've just challenged someone to a fight and I want to go in case they actually accept. So I'm going to leave that there. And I'll just... How long have I got?
I think you had to leave. I know this is going to time out probably in about 7. But yeah.
Cool. I'm going to read a short prose poem that I wrote recently about coronavirus. So I'm just going to read a short prose poem called To Be Present with Your Own Thoughts. A dripping tap only gets worse. It's 4 a.m. and it's 4 a.m. and it's 4 a.m. and I'm on the sofa, not asleep, dreaming, not dreaming, thinking, strategizing. The word catastrophizing rolls around my head in my therapist's voice. She's right, she's not right. I will decide to email her and schedule a session, and I will forget almost simultaneously. He's dead, and she's dead, and she's dead, and he's dead, and she's dead, and they're dead. People are dying. I'm recording videos instructing my community to listen to the basic advice we've heard many times over. It's patronizing. I'm helpless. What else can I do? It's not patronizing. They're dying, so they must not be listening. Like me when I was a teenager. Couldn't tell me to do nothing. I wouldn't let you give me the advice. I would let you give me the advice, and I'd be like, yeah, safe, and do my own thing anyway. A dripping tap only gets worse. I'm getting worse. A funeral on Skype, a Pratna on Zoom with bandwidth issues and connectivity and lagging screens. No one is singing the same tune at the same time in the same key. one is listening, no one is leading. We're singing empty prayers into the eyes at the top of our laptops and our phones. The only person I zero in on is myself. I have to check myself. Am I looking sad enough? Am I grieving publicly enough? Am I grieving externally enough? Remember when Mum died and I carried on doing events, and my mum's cousin told me off for not taking her death seriously, and I told him he was taking it too seriously, and it was none of his business and it was none of my business, and somewhere in there was a shared understanding that your way to grieve is not the correct way, my way to grieve is not the correct way, and neither of us told each other there is no correct way. I stifle a laugh, I turn my camera off, it's funny. Now is the time to address how funny life is. Life is fucking funny. In the moment, life can still be funny. A fleeting moment, sure. That one moment, sure. A single moment, sure. A funeral on Skype, sure. I text, don't worry, a lot. I've shortened it to DW. I'm reaching out a lot, organising Zooms, checking in. Are you okay? Do you want to chat nonsense? Do you want us to table our feelings? Shall we try and attempt pub chat? Should we try and recreate a night out? I'm more social than ever, but the blurring of boundaries between home and office and social space and gymnasium and meeting room and cafe and nursery and school is making me tired all the time. I'm in the trash compactor in a Star War. I'm in the trash compactor in a Star War, and the suit of armour I've disguised myself in is pulling me to the bottom. I'm losing myself. DW. Right, repeat. I create, I think it's good, but my world is small. My cast of characters is small. My dialogue is clipped. More is left unsaid these days. I second guess every single sentence. I write and I write and I write. I realise how little time I give to sitting with my own thoughts. Walking, I used to have on music, on podcasts. Sleeping, I had my phone by my side in case a life-changing message came in at 3 a.m. and we had to pack our bags for Hollywood with immediate effect. Riding trains, I was reading, watching, writing, social space, every spare minute absorbing company, warmth, the energy of others. I rarely sit with myself. I rarely just stare at the ceiling, lying on the sofa until now. Here I am then, lying on the sofa then, staring at the ceiling then, and it's 4 a.m. again, and it's 4 a.m. again, and it's 4 a.m. again, and I'm here again, like I never got up, like I never left the room to travel from one world to another. I feel nothing, I create nothing, I feel nothing. I have only questions, no answers. Who do I have left to say sorry to? Who's going to call me and ask if I'm okay? When can I tell my children they can see their family again? What happens next? Is this a pause for me or for now, or is this a reckoning? What will pass? What is important now? What do I need? Who do I need? How can I be of service? What do I need? What do I need? Do I need anything? What do I need? Is it okay if I stare out the window today? Is this a metamorphosis? What will emerge? Who will I be when I emerge? Do caterpillars feel differently when they emerge? What am I feeling? What am I feeling? But what am I feeling? What do I need? Why is this only about what I need? Why am I even worrying about what other people think about what I need? I'm being present. To be present is to be like playing Super Mario, one of those levels where there are moving platforms, perils approaching at slow and quick speeds, and I'm running, jumping, looking for a one-up, existing to jump and bide my time, jump and bide my time, jump and bide my time. To be present is to look up a YouTube tutorial on fixing dripping taps. To be present is to reach the end of the level and start the next one. To be present is to keep going and accept that all I can control is what's in front of me, and I choose to move forward to meet it. To be present is to accept that which I can control and learn from that which I cannot. To be present. DW. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I think, I'm so glad that you read that, because I think it was really really timely to have someone kind of putting into words so much of what we're all feeling in this phase of lockdown. And I think, all the kind of complexity that comes with that, or the kind of chaos in your head that comes with that. And I think, just felt like very relatable to have that and very fresh. So thank you. And I really liked what you said in your earlier piece as well about colonialism and how kind of touching on those issues, which I think are still just so prevalent. And even when we're talking about the Modi regime, like still kind of so relevant there as well. So thank you for that. And thank you so much for joining.
No, thank you for having me. I hope you guys raise loads of money, and much love to all of you. And thank you for including me. And if you have come to this because you're following me, please follow at South Asia Solidarity Group. They're doing amazing things.
We've been South Asia Solidarity Group, and have a lovely evening.